Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a great lunch break. And I just wanted to come to you this afternoon and just give you a little bit of information about inflammation and autoimmunity. So, inflammation is something that we hear about a lot, that our bodies are overwhelmed with inflammatory processes and inflammation. But what does that really mean for your long term health? Well, there are lots of things that it could contribute to over time because we know that inflammation is a form of stress and stress on our bodies. And when we have stress and that inflammation continues to rise, then it starts to impact our immune systems. And our immune systems are so important to be able to fight off things and be able to tolerate things within our environment and the food that we eat and all the above. So, if there's stress, inflammation, and then it starts to lead into other diseases, we start to get into this cascade of events where eventually our tolerance for things becomes less and less and less. So if we have a paradigm, let's say we have a straight line here, and on this end we have optimal health, and on this end we have autoimmunity. Autoimmunity just means like our body is attacking itself, rheumatoid arthritis, Sjogren's, lupus. Our body struggles systemically. So over here with optimal health, we're able to tolerate all the things that come our way. But as we're exposed to a bit more and we start to decline in health just a little bit, there's things that are going to start to bother us. We're going to start to notice things. We're going to start to react to food. We're going to push past that threshold of tolerance. Eventually, we're going to start to react to chemicals in our environment. It's going to seem like our bodies are sensitive to everything. And then to the point our bodies get so confused, then they begin to attack themselves. And inflammation plays a huge role in this. When we have inflammation, it's going to impact how our body processes our food. It's going to impact our hormones. It's going to impact how we detox things from our bodies. It's going to impact our genetics. It's going to impact our liver. It's going to impact the food that we eat and how we break it down and how we get the molecules out of that food. It's going to impact our vascular health and oxygen. And what happens is over time, we start to begin to be less and less active, less and less healthy, and then we're in a bad spot. So if we're talking about immune cells that play a role in inflammation and immunity, one of them I want to talk about today is called Th17, and they are a subset of what are called T helper cells. Those are important because they really help our immune system activate and coordinate other immune cells in response to an infection or a foreign invader or something that comes into our body that we don't want there. And so they are characterized by this certain production of a cytokine, and it plays a role in those immune responses. However, excessive or chronic activation of Th17 can contribute to autoimmune diseases and chronic inflammation. And research is starting to suggest that imbalances in this Th17 cell population may be involved in developing IBS, inflammatory bowel disease, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, psoriasis. And so how we look at this is, okay, when Th17 is really ramped up, then we have to carefully think about why it is ramped up and what are some of the factors that we can do to try to bring that back down so that we aren't in that autoimmune state. So from a functional wellness perspective, we want to look at that root cause. We don't just want you to run to the rheumatologist and get something to suppress your immune system. We want to try to figure out why your immune system is overactivating these cells. And a lot of times that can be because of blood sugar issues, hormone issues, your liver, or maybe you have genetic SNPs that are not allowing you to detoxify things from your system, so it's working overtime, the foods that you're eating, the lack of exercise, so your tissues just producing more inflammation, and specifically within your gut, like having a leaky gut. And maybe even having some bacteria within the gut that starts to disrupt that threshold and kind of adds fuel to the fire and increasing that inflammation. So we don't want to suppress the immune system. We want to get to the bottom of why the inflammation is happening. And that could look different for so many people. But when you think about the root causes of those T cells, we want to downregulate that T17, and that means by making some other T helper cells come up and make sure that they do their job in the immune system. So we want to support those and get the T17 cells to calm down. We want to make sure we balance the immune system by healing the intestinal barrier so that you don't have a leaky gut, so that there aren't these bacteria and cells that are floating around in there that don't need to be there. And make sure that we replenish your good bacteria, because good bacteria is going to send signals to the liver to produce these enzymes that will help to improve your ability to block absorption of toxins and metals at the intestinal level. So it's a huge deal that we try to balance out all of these root causes when it comes to inflammation and autoimmunity, and not just put a band-aid on it. So if I were to encourage you anything today, I would say look at an anti-inflammatory diet. Make sure that you aren't eating a ton of gluten and processed foods, that you're leaning more towards whole foods, vegetables with that will have lots of good fiber, and that you're thinking about ways that you can replenish those good bacteria through probiotics. And what the best way to know how to do that is to actually see what bacteria is inside your gut already, and see if you have any parasites, and see if you have a low balance of that good bacteria, and try to balance that out. When you do that, then you'll be able to very much specifically know what bacteria needs to be resolved in there. So if you're telling me, Shelly, I have no gut issues at all, but you have arthritis, you have autoimmunity, it still plays a part in creating all of these symptoms in the body. So don't downplay it, but definitely start to think about the things that are impacting your gut and how that is impacting your overall inflammation. So if you have questions about this, or if you're like, oh, I've never thought about my inflammation in this way or my autoimmunity in this way, then please let me know. I'm happy to answer questions, and I'm happy to point you in the direction of how you can get your gut fully tested so you can see what's going on in there, how you can measure how your body is responding from an immune perspective, looking at more of the root causes of those things so that you can prevent chronic disease and prevent chronic inflammation from taking over and slowly not allowing you to do the things that God's called you to do in life. So let me know if you have any questions, and I hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye.